One well. Dr. Jonathan Lazar and Dr. Jamie Kramer are upper cervical doctors that believe you can have the life God intended for you. The number again is 866-521-WELL. That's 866-521-WELL. And there's a location near you with offices in Troy and Ann Arbor. If you're tired of searching for solutions for your condition, make an appointment right now at 866-521-WELL. Or check them out on the web at yourweeklycheckup.com. That's yourweeklycheckup.com. Now back to Dr. Jonathan Lazar and Dr. Jamie Kramer on Your Weekly Checkup.
Stand by, guys. Your mic's up right now.
Welcome to Your Weekly Checkup with Dr. Kramer and Dr. Lazar. This is the show dedicated to helping you live an extraordinary life. Our goal tonight is to give you hope, help you live with more energy, and help you experience health like never before. Welcome to Your Weekly Checkup. I'm Dr. Lazar. I'm with the ever fab Dr. Kramer with a C. And we have one of the most amazing people in the whole world, our dear friend and colleague, Dr. Terry McCoskey, hailing from, I say Fairborn, Ohio, but I've heard people say Fairburn, like it's down south. I don't actually know, but anyway.
No, it's Bourne. It's all about Fairborn.
Fairborn. I love it. Yeah. Well, welcome to Your Weekly Checkup. So glad to be here with you. Dr. Kramer, great to be with you as always. Dr. McCoskey, thanks so much for joining us. And listeners and friends, do we have a treat for you? This is going to be amazing. So welcome to this gig, guys. Great to be with you.
Oh, awesome to be here.
It is my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure.
So
yeah. What are we going to do? Oh, no.
We're going to talk about what happened.
I don't know. I just lost my ability to see you. Hold on.
That's okay.
One of the things that we do before the show, and we do this very faithfully, is we do a prayer before the show, and we pray that the right people are supposed to hear our program tonight, and the right ears are going to hear this, and the right people are going to share this information that we are going to share with you guys tonight. And the information we have is important, and we're going to be talking about health. We're going to be offering you hope. That's what we always pray for. And we are really looking to help people find the root of some problems in their life. Right, guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the idea is everybody is understandably worried right now. They're worried about recessions, and they're worried about the stock market. They're worried about gas prices. They're worried about Ukraine. They're worried about Russia and what's going on with all this stuff and what in the world is happening with China. And you know what? All that stuff is real. But the truth is that we don't have control over that stuff, but we do have control about how adaptable our bodies are. And so we've never, ever suggested that we run away from stuff, but that we run into promoting health, promoting adaptability. And it's not about wellness for this like cool little idea of a concept. It's about how do we make it so when crap hits the fan that we recession-proof our bodies, we recession-proof our health. We don't worry about getting laid off when, the markets get cut and that sort of thing. And that's what this show is really about. We've been seeing a lot of vertigo, oddly enough, in the last couple of years. And so we're going to talk about that, but we also want to talk about what's important to you. And so if you have questions tonight, our number is 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. And it's a pretty rare occurrence, actually, to have 3 board certified upper cervical doctors on ready to take your calls. I think this is really cool. This is really cool. So Dr. McCoskey, welcome to the show. Love to hear what you've been seeing and observing and what you can offer our incredible listeners.
I think one of the things that is super important is exactly what you just said. You just rattled off an entire list of garbage that is changing people's physiology. And you can solve this with 2 things. If you did 2 things, most of that would go away. Ready? Unplug your television and unplug your computer.
Amen.
Now, because they're talking about, and that's what the TV and the computer are designed to do, is keep you in a perpetual state of confusion and a perpetual state of stress. And so you're worried about germs and viruses, and you're worried about the economy, and you're worried about what people are doing in parts of the country you can't even see and didn't know about until a month ago. So at the end of the day, everything you just described keeps absolutely everybody's physiology on crazy high alert. Crazy high. So, and you mentioned vertigo. Vertigo is one of those things that lets you know your body is on spastic, crazy high alert. But so is high blood pressure. So is a headache. So is constipation and diarrhea. So is a sleepless night. So I want you to imagine, and one of the things that just grinds me, because we all three see this every day, is the effect of stress on people's physiology.
Sure.
So, right, just pretend like think of this like you're walking through the woods on a fabulous late summer day, and suddenly a bear comes onto the trail. And right away, you're going to feel some changes in your physiology. Your heart rate's going to change, your pulse rate's going to change, your digestion is going to change. You may have to change your shorts. There are some very, very predictable things that are going to happen in a high stress situation immediately.
Now, here's something about that. What doctor do you go see when your palms get sweaty and your pupils dilate and your face gets flushed and your mouth gets dry and you're afraid that a bear is going to chase you? What doctor do you call for help with that? Because obviously there's something wrong because my body feels weird.
Well, and that's the challenge I'm going to throw out. What we've been led to believe is that those are pathological things. You've been led to believe that if your blood pressure's up, you got to take something to lower it. You've been led to believe that if your heart rate's not right, you got to take something to change it. You've been led to believe that if your digestion is suppressed, because let's face it, if you're in front of a bear, digestion becomes a low priority in your body's physiology. So indigestion is going to happen. Sleep would be a low priority if there was a bear on the trail in front of you. Fighting germs, by the way, would be in a low priority. So immune suppression, digestive suppression, emotional stability goes out the window. You're not going to sit down and have a nice talk it out with the bear. So your emotional stability, serotonin levels change. Your brain is not genetically programmed to absorb serotonin in a high stress situation because you're geared toward what's called fight or flight. And I think your listeners can understand that. Everybody gets that concept of fight or flight based physiology, which is supposed to be designed to get you away from a dangerous situation. It's not designed to be a 2-year lifestyle. So if I left my heart rate chronically modified, if I left my blood pressure chronically modified, if I left my digestion chronically modified, so if you just ticked off that list, it becomes a lifestyle which produces changes that interrupt the ease of normal body function. And if you interrupt the ease long enough, what do they call it?
Dis-ease.
Disease. And so at the end of the day, our listeners have been led to believe that their body is so stupid, it can't figure out pathological things. And so rather than getting the bear out of the way, or rather than figuring out why your stress level is so high, we've all just been trained to suppress those signals as though they were somehow bad for us. And I'm going to always contend that they're good for you. They're your body's way of getting your attention to say something needs to change in your life. And it might be the bear you go to, the job you hate. It might be the marriage you don't appreciate. It may be the work that you're fearful of losing. But at the end of the day, we're stuck in this fight or flight world. And we are misunderstanding and misinterpreting what it means. And that's why disease rates go through the roof, because nobody's looking to solve the mystery. They're just looking to change the outcomes. That's my take on that.
That's brilliant. And the truth is, our inner 3-year-old has been told to be quiet since we were, 3. But that's a huge bummer, because really our inner 3-year-old wants to ask the question all the time, but why? Right? So why do I feel this way? Why do I feel dizzy? Why do I feel like I'm going to throw up in this bucket like I just got off a spinny ride when I didn't get off a spinny ride? And why am I ticked off all the time? And why am I so frazzled when my kids call my name and they're interrupting my thoughts? They didn't even know I was thinking, but why am I so frazzled by this? I just don't get it. And the truth is, we've been conditioned to believe that what shows up as a symptom is the problem. And
well, if you watch television.
Yeah. I mean, ask your doctor if we can, throw out blood so we can have full range of motion in our elbow again, because we don't have. And so I'm not, we're not getting on anybody. That struggle is real, and people, everybody's looking for a way to function better. But at some point, we have to say, look, it's our ethical and moral responsibility. The world deserves us at our best. And so we can either play defense and keep trying to run away, like you were saying, Dr. McCoskey, run away from sickness and disease and infection and germs and run away from all these things. Or we can say, let's start playing offense. And I might not score every goal, but I'm going to pursue recession proofing my health. I'm going to pursue my family living out their full God-given potential. I'm going to pursue these things. And so I want to talk about with all of us, and Dr. Kramer is killer with this stuff too. When it comes up, I love hearing both of you share the things that you do is of what can we do to get to the other side. There are people who are listening who say, you're speaking my language, I get it. I'm doing 37 hours a day of yoga and I'm getting pressure taken off my brainstem and I'm eating organic and I take $2,500 a day in supplements and everything's just amazing and I have an infrared sauna. But there are other people who are saying, it just feels too overwhelming. I don't know how to bridge the gap. I don't think what I've been doing is working, but I've got to do something different, but I don't really know what to do. Let's talk to that person driving home tonight from Bible study. Dr. Kramer, what do you think?
Well, what I want to say is all of that is so philosophically understanding to us. Is what we're talking about tonight. If you're just tuning in, this is Dr. Kramer of Dr. Lazar and Dr. McCoskey here on your weekly checkup. But what we're really talking about is getting to the root of some of these issues that we're experiencing in our body versus covering up, masking it, or putting, pretty much a Band-Aid on it, right? We're looking at what is the root cause of why I'm feeling dizzy? What is the root cause of why I feel this way? So it doesn't become a perpetual thing like Dr. McCoskey mentioned, okay? And a lot of people that are listening to the show go, well, I don't know. I've been dealing with this back pain or this neck pain for 3 years and it's been on and off and I have this elbow discomfort and I get the dizzies and I can't sleep and that's just the way it is. I'm getting older. Well, we're here to tell you those are all symptoms of another issue, okay? And we want to get to the root cause of whatever that issue may be. And one of the things that all three of us are doing that are really special and unique to our us and the work that we do is that we look for something like Dr. McCoskey said is dis-ease. We're looking for a disconnect in the body's functioning because we should be at ease, and dis-ease is DIS-ease. Okay. It's not the word disease. And what we do is we look for that through actually your nervous system. And that's a word we haven't really used too much in the program yet. And your nervous system is actually the master control system of every other system in your body. It actually controls your hormones. It controls your digestion. It regulates your sleep. It regulates our pain levels. I can go on and on and on. The nervous system does over, trillions of things in our body. And the nervous system controls all other systems in our body. So if there's something going on, what we do is we actually check to see if that nervous system has that dis-ease to it. And we look to find that dis-ease and correct it to make it ease so that our brain and body are truly connected so that we are what we call clear and connected and can function at our optimal level. So that's one of the things that we do in our upper cervical offices without twisting, cracking, or popping. And that's really, really unique. And again, we're here to kind of create this new idea, this new concept that the problem doesn't have to be an outside in answer. It can be an inside out answer, and just reconnecting the body to allow it to heal. And Dr. McCoskey, you always explain that so much. So what heals the body, and you can take it from there.
Well, one of the things Dr. Lazar mentioned on the front end, you actually used the word adaptability.
Ooh.
And that was a part of your conversation as we were opening the program. And the purpose of the brain and the nerve system is adaptability. Its job, your brain's job, like on a 90-degree day, you're going to sweat. On a 20-degree day, you're going to shiver. But your brain's job is to take in the information from the world around you, process that information effectively, and then promote whatever changes are necessary in your physiology to keep you alive. The brain's job is the adaptability to the environment you're in for the purpose of preservation and survival on a very, very basic level. Now, can I put on more coats if it's cold? Yes, I can, but only not until your brain says it's time to make changes in your environment will your body be able to make and adapt to those changes. So adaptability is king. And when you see those people that are stuck, when the nerve system is stuck in that fight or fight feedback loop, That's when adaptability's gone out the window. And symptoms aren't the problem. Symptoms are just the body's way of saying, hey, you're stuck. And your adaptability level is plummeting quickly. And so your job is to figure out, where is the break? Where do I need to create change? It might be just to get in and out of the cold. It might be to put more water in because you're dehydrating from the inside out. But at the end of the day, the symptoms are never, ever, ever the problem. They are always the body's intelligent design saying, hey, something's got to change for you, or bad things are going to happen soon. That's the purpose of symptoms. They are a function of adaptability. Or then what they indicate is that adaptability is being compromised on some level. So I love that word, Dr. Jonathan. That is key for helping people get a new idea on understanding how their own body works. We live in a world where we've been taught to ignore the symptoms or ignore the clues. We live in a world where we think we can get 3 hours of sleep and be fully functional, or we can skip breakfast, or we can, is there some shortcut to health? There's no shortcuts, but there's also no magic. The magic is you just got to learn the rules on how your own body is engineered to work. And I didn't realize too, until I dialed in tonight, I didn't realize we were on a Christ-based radio station.
Heck yeah.
Which I think is super cool.
Man. Check that out.
Well, now I know. I don't live up there. I live down here.
That's awesome. This is true.
So watch this. What that means is your listeners are searching for a different answer than the people who are listening to a secular radio station.
Interesting.
And that's not good or bad. But at the end of the day, the question then becomes, whose body are you living in? Because if you think it's yours, you're going to treat it the way you want to treat it. But I'm going to suggest from a spiritual perspective that it doesn't really belong to you. It's on loan to you right now. And so this becomes now a stewardship issue.
Yep.
And your job as the manager of that carcass, your job is to tap into the resources necessary. Nobody knows everything, but your job is to surround yourself with the resources necessary to become a better steward of what you've been blessed to be.
I had not looked at it that way. That's awesome. Sorry, keep going. It's great.
Well, it's a different level of management. And everybody thinks about their physical health because physical symptoms are obvious. But not a lot of people, and I would contend that 80% of what your physical symptoms represent has a spiritual root.
Sure.
I would suggest to you that if you looked at your health like the hub of a wheel, and each spoke, there's a physical spoke, there's a mental spoke, there's an emotional spoke, there's a financial spoke, there's a spiritual spoke. If you looked at the spokes that support the hub of a wheel, I would contend most people neglect the spiritual spoke and try to get away with it. And when you neglect one spoke in the wheel, the whole wheel begins to roll out of balance. If you neglect your financial spoke, the wheel can't roll round. If you neglect your emotional spoke, it begins to change the rest of the wheel. And so your health and well-being aren't one set of rules, but it's in a matter of saying, what do I got to do to understand how to manage my well-being as effectively as I can for the benefit of the kingdom, for the benefit of my family, for the benefit of myself? But what am I bringing to the table? Because you came as a full complement in a package created for an engineering and design of success. If it isn't expressing that, something's in the way.
For sure.
So really the three of us and people who do what we do, all we do is look to get rid of what's in the way.
That's
because
right.
It's engineered for success from the inside out.
That's right.
So we focus on structural things to affect neurological things, to affect biochemical things, all of which makes your emotional and spiritual components possible. I mean, it's crazy.
It's brilliant. No, it's so refreshing to hear, and our listeners, I mean, we've got the coolest listeners ever, and they've been, listening for 12 years, which is just crazy to say. And so I love that you're bringing a different perspective, which is, truth communicated differently. If you're just tuning in, this is your weekly checkup with Dr. Kramer and Dr. Lazar. We have Dr. Terry McCoskey with us out of Fairborn, Ohio. And I'm super excited to have him. Our number is 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. What we see so much is that people are actually making their health problems worse without even knowing it. So there's something that shows up as a symptom, as a warning sign, and it would be like the smoke detector going off, or it would be like the check engine light coming on, in your car. Or if you're a pilot, it would be like something in the cockpit telling you that there's a problem. Now, you have options when that happens. One option is to remove the batteries of the smoke detector or put electrical tape over the check engine light and just get on with your life and assume that everything will be okay. Because, it's probably not going to be really bad in the next 5 minutes if the check engine light comes on. So why not just, get on with it and ignore that and cover that up? But other people say, hey, that sounds really unwise to me. And so I think I've been thinking about it wrong, and I don't want to do that. What I really need to do is figure out why that check engine light came on. And it's true. There are people who fix cars that rip people off, that, are out to get other people, but assume positive intent. Most people are not out to get you. And so then you have two choices. You can ignore it or say, I wonder why this check engine light came on. Who do I trust? And who can help me figure this out? When we cover the symptoms up, when we take, one guy in my office calls it ibuprofen. I love it. It's just his accent, but I love it. He's from Puerto Rico and he says ibuprofen. I love it. So, if we take that and cover up the symptoms, it's not a moral problem. We're not calling anybody out as being wrong, but we're saying you're actually risking. In fact, I would contend to say that most of the time you are literally choosing, knowingly or unintentionally, to help the underlying problem get worse because you're not addressing why it's actually showing up. And so if we respect and honor that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that we were knit together, and God knew us before that, then maybe we don't need to treat our body like it has too many parts, or like it is missing a whole bunch of chemicals, or like we need a bunch more injections to make sure that we ward off exposure to things and close ourselves down and isolate ourselves. Maybe that's not the right approach. And maybe the approach is, hey, I trust and I'm going to do what I need to do to help express health. And so our concern is always that we risk making the underlying problem even worse by covering up the symptoms. And so that is essentially what we're talking about. If you have questions tonight, our number is 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. And just know, anybody listening, we've got offices in Ann Arbor, in Troy, and on this show, Fairborn, Ohio. And if neither of those are close to you, give us a call and we'll find somebody that is. We'd love to help you that way. But here's the deal. In the Ann Arbor and Troy offices, if you're hearing this, if you're hearing the podcast after, if you're watching this on social media, our doctors do a knee-to-knee consultation where we meet with you and we try to figure out two things. Number one, what's wrong, and if this specialty type of care is right for you or somebody in your family. And then we do a posture check where we measure all these different numbers to see if your body is balanced or out of alignment or distorted at all, which can break things down. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But depending on what that is, that can cost $200 in some of our offices. And we love to offer that to our radio listeners as our gift to you to say thank you for listening. And so if you're interested in that, and we're not saying that you need our care, we're not saying that you need what we have to offer, but we are saying that everybody deserves to have a conversation. We think your health is worth that 5, 10, 15-minute conversation. So if you're interested in that, or somebody you love is looking for some health solutions, give us a call. We will gift you that $200 consultation in one of our offices, and we'll see if this care is right for you. And here's the deal. If it's not, we'll find you something that can help you. That's our promise to you. So anyway, that's what we offer to our listeners, 866-521-WELL or yourweeklycheckup.com. Anyway, so we were talking about the body's ability to adapt. And when the Titanic sinks, some people can adapt long enough for the lifeboats to show up and some people can't. And, Stephen Covey talks about our circle of control. There are things that we have full control over, like the choices that we do every day about what we put in our mouth and how much we move, and if we're going to get pressure taken off our brainstem and what we're going to think about. And then we also have things that are in our circle of influence. So we don't control it, but, we can kind of influence that. That might be older kids or people we love or whatever. And then there's circumstances, most of which live in this circle, which is our circle of concern. We have no control or influence over it whatsoever, but we are concerned about it. And we encourage everybody that we come in contact with to focus on the things that are in our circle of control, not influence, not concern. And that really can make a huge difference in your health.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And it's so wonderful. I had someone in today that was a radio listener, and to be honest with you, our radio listeners are some of my favorite people that we see in the office. Sometimes we meet people that have heard one show. Sometimes they've been listening for many years. Or I actually had a lady come in that her dentist heard our show and referred in her patient that was having a hard time. I mean, there's these cool stories of how we get connected to people through this program. And our desire and our hope is to connect with people, to offer them a solution of maybe what they didn't think they would help with. So, what I would love to hear is how, since Dr. McCoskey is with us tonight, how did you get into chiropractic, and what is your chiropractic story that really helped change your life, become a chiropractor? And we haven't mentioned that we are, and if I did, we apologize, but we're upper cervical chiropractors. So if you could share that story, that'd be great, Terry.
Yeah, my mom actually was a staff person in a chiropractic practice when I was growing up. So when I was in 4th grade, she takes a job as a receptionist in a chiropractic practice. And we didn't know what chiropractic was. It was just her job. And so I would go, this was back when it was okay to walk home from school. I don't know if people still do that or not. I would walk home and spend, half an hour, 45 minutes in his reception room. And so I would get to watch my mom finish her workday, but I would see people coming and going. I would see people coming in one way and they would be going out very differently. One of the benefits of her employment was our family started under chiropractic care. So my brother and my dad and my mom and I began an experience of chiropractic care. And he didn't tell me about the magic of how the body works. He didn't give me, the 3 T's. He didn't give me the philosophy of chiropractic. But what I got to observe was people came in one way, they went out differently. He didn't use drugs. He didn't do surgery. There was no blood. I don't do well with those things. I also learned, though, that he set his own hours. He didn't work with everybody. If he couldn't help them, he didn't keep them. He seemed to make a decent life living for himself and his family. And he was committed to serving and helping people. And I knew in the 7th grade, that's what I was going to be when I grew up. So after just watching 3 years of him perform and me experience it, he held me together all through junior high and high school athletics. I knew in the 7th grade that was going to be what I wanted to be when I grew up. All of my high school courses were selected for that purpose. I went to the Ohio State University. I know we don't talk about that on Michigan programming, but I did.
No.
It's true. And then went to Palmer, graduated way back. You guys way back in the 1900s, 1989. And so, but I was introduced to upper cervical care at Palmer College. I didn't know. My chiropractor was a traditional chiropractor. He was a wonderful human being. In fact, I had 3 chiropractors growing up. We had transferred several offices. But I didn't know about upper cervical until I got to Palmer. And then I was introduced to this concept of how is it possible? And there's a couple of things that were really attractive to me. The question is there such a thing as normal in the spine? Is there a normal function? Is there a normal structure for the spine? And the answer is yes. Is there a normal function for the nerve system? And the answer is also yes. And those things are measurable. That's what attracted me to upper cervical. So when you look at a body that's in its normal structure, that person should have shoulders that are level with the horizon. They should have hips that are level with the horizon. They should have a head that's beautifully centered in the top of the stack. So anytime, because Dr. Lazar, you mentioned getting a posture evaluation, and your posture has a lot to do with telling you, is your body stuck in that fight or flight muscular imbalance? So muscles begin to tell the story. If I see an elevated shoulder, if I see an elevated hip, if I see a head that's not centered in its vertical center, then what I know is that person is not functioning at peak efficiency in a gravity-based environment. That's a 10 to 12 pound head sitting at the top of the pile of those gangly spine bones. And so as gravity crushes it into the planet all day long, the question is it being well supported by a spine that's in a normal place? If the answer is no, that means the spine is beginning to break down underneath the weight of the head. And the downside to that is that the nerve system lives in that spine. So when you affect the spine, you begin to change the relay of information to and from the brain. And that begins to change guts and glands and muscle tone and variability in heart rate and immune function. All of that stuff we called fight or flight before is locked in when the spine is locked in an abnormal position. And it begins to sabotage that person's physiological ability to adapt. So from a posture, why would I want my $200 free posture evaluation? Because it's idiot proof. That's why you would say yes to this. If you live in Michigan and you aren't saying yes to this, something's wrong. It's a valuable opportunity to learn about how your body's working. Is it at peak efficiency? And what do I do about it if it isn't? It's magical. So at the end of the day, restoration and normal spine, and there are two other ways, right? The structural instability is one way to sabotage the nerve system. But guess what else sabotages the nerve system? Chemistry. That's why they don't let people drink and drive, right? Because chemicals change the brain. And emotional things. Thoughts are things. So when we are stuck in that scared world and that uncertainty, the uncertainty and the fear begin to also change your nerve system. They get locked into that fight or flight pattern. So if you're living within a 100-mile radius of these two doctors in Michigan and you're saying no to this evaluation, I can't help you. It's crazy.
People in Michigan would never do that. I would be concerned about people in Ohio, but people in Michigan would never do that.
Well, here's a weird thing. Everybody understands the value of a dental checkup. Everybody understands it. Like, how old should you be when you start taking care of your teeth?
2.
As soon as you get them.
Well, and those are good answers, but they're not the only ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and here's the fun thing about teeth. How old should you be when you stop taking care of your teeth?
When you're gone. When you don't.
That's another good answer.
Anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, when you don't want them anymore. So those are understandable things. Not everybody knows that the spine houses the nerve system. Not everybody understands the nerve system's relationship to every cell in the body. Not everybody understands that when the body's compromised, it doesn't adapt. It ages, breaks down, and becomes disease quicker. So once you understand the relationship between the spine, the nerve system, and all life function, the question is, at what age should that be checked and evaluated? And I'm going to tell you, there's plenty of answers. Everybody's going to have their own. But then the other question is, at what age should you begin neglecting it?
Right.
So to me, this is not a matter of, do I have to do this or how long do I have to do this? The question is, once you know the truth about how it works, how long are you willing to ignore the truth is a much better question. And so you guys are putting together and you do your show every week, and I get that. I applaud you for that. You're reaching people that would never otherwise get to hear your stories. And when you share patient testimonials or patient stories, and that's where the magic is. If you sat out in our reception rooms all day long, you would think we cured everything from hemorrhoids to pimples. And we don't cure anything. The body does this miraculous job of healing and restoring itself if all you do is set the better stage. That's it.
So that's the part that's really interesting. So, people hearing this would think, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, I agree with that. Yes, I do. And here's the part that makes me the most sad, is that when I was taking 9 prescription medications every day and was a really, really, really good patient of doctors who really cared about me and really wanted to see me not die, I was not looking for a solution because I didn't know that there was anything wrong. And I didn't know that I didn't know that there was an alternative to that. I don't like the word alternative, but I didn't know that there was another option. So I had survived cancer. I had had surgery for that. I had digestive surgeries. I was on medications. And that was my normal. I didn't like it, but I didn't know. So I was never looking for a solution, which sounds so weird to me. And it's like the person who can't see and you ask if they have good vision and they're like, I see totally fine. And then they put glasses on for the first time and are like, oh my word, I cannot believe I've been missing this. What makes me, I'm not so worried about the people that are like, I'm turning over every stone, I'm going to find it. They come in and they get answers and they get solutions and their family lives lives they didn't even know were possible. I am always so sad about the people that aren't even looking. They don't even know how much better their life could be because they don't even know to look. You know, like,
so what are you going to do?
Well, we're going to keep telling them, but
yeah,
you know,
exactly. And so I want you guys, and again, we've known each other a long time, and I want you to not underestimate the value of this program for that reason. You know, I think of that like if I saw somebody drowning, I would throw them a rope, right? I would do something to save them. But guess what? And what if they threw themselves in to drown and they don't want the rope? Or what if they can't reach the rope? Or what if, you know, I don't know. My job, though, our job is to throw the rope. We don't get to decide who grabs it. We don't get to decide. Now, you want to be a good rope thrower, don't get me wrong, because it's the truth. Because, well, people don't know what they don't know. And it's okay, unless you're just like not seeking it. If you're not seeking answers, we can't help you. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to solve the mystery, if you're looking, not even to solve it, if you're looking to have a better understanding of it, programs like this are super valuable. And I'm assuming also there's a download, right? Like you could replay this if you wanted to, or somebody could click on the website and go back and listen to prior episodes. Never underestimate the value of this type of programming for that reason. Somebody might not be ready to grab the rope today, but they may be ready next week. They may be ready in a month, or their friends and family may be able to surround them with some hope that they heard on this show or a show like this. So is it saddening? Yes, it is. But at the end of the day, you don't get to be the boss of who's sad, and you don't get to be, you know, the boss of who grabs the rope. Your job is a rope thrower, and the better you throw it, the more likely people are to take it up. That's how I see it.
Well, one of the things I wanted to mention too is we were talking about so much about the posture exam that we do in our office, and we do it. It's a 3-dimensional exam that we do, and our structure equals our function. So if something like what Dr. McCoskey was talking about, if the hips are unlevel or the shoulders are leaning or someone's got some head tilt, and you might not even see these things in yourself, or, you know, a woman's bra strap keeps falling down, or that the hem on your pants seems uneven. Those are all signs that things could be not aligned in your body. But this 3D posture exam that we do in our offices determines that is non-invasive, and it tells us how our structure is. And if our structure is not aligned properly to the horizon, as you said, I liked that, then our body's not going to function properly. And what that means is that the brain and the nervous system have some type of kink in the hose, we'll say, okay, with some type of interference or stuckness. And then our body won't express health optimally. And what we do is we help unstick those areas to allow the brain and the body to communicate so that you can express health from the inside out. Meaning if it's migraines you're dealing with, or vertigo, or low back pain, or energy functions, or you know, shoulder issues, we can determine, hey, is that problem being affected from your structure? And if we find that there's a structural issue, we'll be able to determine if you're a candidate for this type of care. And again, it's non-invasive. We see babies to Grammys and everything in between that we're able to help. So again, we're here to offer hope. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back after this.
Do you constantly live with pain? Does simply getting out of bed seemingly take all
fast.
of your energy? Are you just plain tired of searching for answers? Tired of not living the life God intended for you? Then you need to call 866-521-WELL and speak with Dr. Jonathan Lazar or Dr. Jamie Kramer. Dr. Lazar and Dr. Kramer are upper cervical doctors who specialize in helping those who are in chronic pain. Call 866-521-WELL and make an appointment to visit one of their offices in Ann Arbor or Troy. If you mention you heard about them on WMUZ, your first consultation will be absolutely free. That's 866-521-WELL. And also go to their website at yourweeklycheckup.com. Now back to Dr. Jonathan Lazar and Dr. Jamie Kramer on Your Weekly Checkup.
Hey, this is Dr. Lazar.
And Dr. Kramer.
Thanks for listening to Your Weekly Checkup. We wanted to invite you into our offices for a complimentary consultation to find out whether this upper cervical work is right for you and your family.
And it's great news. We have offices in Ann Arbor and in Troy.
So take this number down. Our number is 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. And our teams are standing by waiting to take
That's
your
back
call.
in my younger
Our website
days.
is yourweeklycheckup.com.
That's yourweeklycheckup.com.
That's when my
Call
hair
and
was
speak
dark.
with the doctors
Nice.
live at 866-521-WELL. That's 866-521-WELL.
Mike's up.
Welcome back to your weekly checkup with Dr. Kramer and Dr. Lazar. We've got a special guest, Dr. Terry McCoskey, with us, hailing from Fairborn, Ohio. That's down by Dayton, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
Are you close to
Way,
Dayton?
way down south. We're way
Love
down
it.
south.
Love it, love it, love it. So, I was picking up my coffee cup from my son, Noah, who got it for me. He says, "Thank you for helping me build my life," which I think is so cool. And it made me think of a time when my daughter, who's starting chiropractic school, actually, which is just crazy to me, the kids all do martial arts, and she got kicked in the jaw, right? And so you think, like, what kind of an idiot upper cervical dad would let his kids do martial arts? Ones that want the kids to be able to beat up people if they have to, So anyway, she was just kind of like down and was feeling a little bit dizzy, right? We're talking about vertigo a little bit tonight, but otherwise didn't have any symptoms. And for my friends in healthcare or sick care, that like everything is about codes and CPT this and ICD-9 things and that and whatever. And so, but I don't know what the diagnosis code is for, I just feel not quite right. I don't know what that diagnosis is. And I don't know if insurance covers us helping somebody who just doesn't feel quite right. But anyway, she didn't, and she was 10 or 12 or something like that. And I said, "Honey, let's get you adjusted." And so I get her adjusted, and afterwards she just gave me a hug, didn't say a whole lot of words, but she looked up at me. That's, she was much shorter. She looked up at me and she asked me a really great question that I would love to pose to our listeners. She said, "Dad, why do people live like that?" Why do people live like that?
I think suffering can be optional if you know where to go. That's what I think.
Beautiful.
So, well, we're going to pause on that. We're going to go ahead and take Jack's call. Jack, welcome to your weekly checkup.
Hi there. How you doing?
Great. How are you doing tonight?
Awesome. I just heard your radio on the station there. Listened to the program there, and I just wanted to ask a question.
Sure. How can we help?
I've got my shoulder's got it's bone to bone, and I was talking to a neurosurgeon, said that I'll most likely need surgery, but he gave me a shot for like a cortisone shot. I think it was a steroid shot, and it seems to help quite a bit. But I know there's still injured in there. I was wanting to know if is there something that can be a process. I've heard that there's some things that you can possibly inject in the shoulder to help it to rebuild itself. Because I'm athletic, I like to run and do different things, and I just wanted to see if I could avoid surgery possibly.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jack. So there are a couple of things. So the body is designed to heal and regulate. It's a living body, at least, is a self-healing, self-regulating organism. So if your shoulder is bone on bone, the only thing that I know of that would help regenerate anything would be stem cells. I mean, those stem cells can actually regenerate. The challenge that we have in the United States is that's not regulated. And so we certainly don't recommend people just go looking around for stem cells unless you can make sure that they are umbilical stem cells, because we're not huge fans of fetal tissue stem cells. Right?
I'm a Christian. I'm in the same boat. I'm a Christian. I actually heard a gentleman that had that come off the umbilical cord, and it helped him out with his running. And I'm a runner, plus I'm trying to keep myself healthy, and that's exactly what I was going to ask about. I didn't know that, because some doctors don't tell you that,
Yeah, that's the goofy part in the United States. So in terms, if your question is there anything that can regenerate? The only thing I know of that can regenerate is stem cell type work, and there is some really cool technology that helps the body produce its own stem cells, and that sort of thing. So there are options, and we can help you with that if you want to leave your information. The other thing that whether it regenerates or not, whether it's bone on bone or not, the nerves that leave the neck. So if you think of it like a sprinkler system, the nerves that leave the neck are the ones that feed the shoulder. And so whether it's bone on bone or not, the question would be, do I want my brain talking to my shoulder clearly or not? That would be the question that I would start by asking you. And so something caused that shoulder to break down, some kind of accident or injury. And so in addition to looking for something regenerative, and we can help you, find options for that and things too, is make sure that the brain is talking unobstructed to the shoulder so that the shoulder has the best possible chance of healing. And so that's what we're talking about, is getting that communication system and making sure that there's no interference whatsoever. We don't want a bad cell phone signal between your brain and your shoulder, and then your shoulder has the best chance possible to heal and recover. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I used to drive a propane truck, and I was dragging the hoses around, and that's what caused a lot of the injury. I didn't realize that was causing it to go get the bone to bone, because it's just repetitive and pulling those hoses around and stuff like that. And plus, it got stuck several times, and plus the stress thing too. Trying to keep up with the quota. They're getting so many deliveries out at a certain time. So
sure.
Sometimes I get stressed out. It would hurt too. So
absolutely.
But
Dr. McCoskey, you have some thoughts on this. What would you say to our friend Jack?
The thing I'm hearing about Jack is that he's an athlete. He's a runner. And so I would suggest Jack can kind of check a few things for himself. Obviously, a posture evaluation, you can stand in front of the mirror. If the injured shoulder is higher or lower than the other shoulder, that's a great sign of muscular imbalance. As a runner, though, I would ask you to go to your favorite pair of running shoes, because if your left shoe is wearing out differently on the road than your right shoe, that's a great sign of body imbalance. And that usually means that there's a hip and a knee not far behind that bone-on-bone shoulder. So taking the postural stress out of your frame is going to take stress away from all of those joints as you bang them on the planet, road running or whatever else. And so the fun thing about surgery, I think, is that you can always have it. You just can't unhave it. And so if you can get somebody to come to you and say, let's balance out your frame, let's get some stability in your musculoskeletal system, your shoulder may take care of itself in many ways. It may not. But at the end of the day, you're going to set the stage for getting older and getting way more miles on the planet with a balanced body.
Right.
Well said. Yeah, for sure. Does that answer your question, Jack?
Yes, I'm still running. I haven't run any races since then, but it doesn't affect my shoulder too bad. I can feel it, but I can feel it twitching. But I had a steroid shot. It says some sort of a steroid shot, and it helped out a lot. But I know that it took the pain away completely. But I had to do some work. I've been working on cutting up wood and splitting wood. It's heavy work, so I know that it's been doing some damage. But I was wanting to try to avoid surgery. And when I do stand in front of the mirror, my shoulder on the left does a little bit lower than the one on the right. That definitely noticeable.
He sounds like a great candidate for one of your complimentary consultations.
So Jack, here's a way to think about it. Avoiding surgery, I agree with you. That should be a last resort. And like Dr. McCoskey said, you can't unhave it. But here's the other thing that I would mention to you. So what the cortisone shot does is it injects steroids, which is really effective at reducing inflammation. But your inner 3-year-old wants to know, why is there inflammation? So is there something we can do to reduce inflammation? Yep, we can do the shot. They can do the shot. It can reduce the inflammation. But why is it getting inflamed in the first place? So imagine that your car is out of alignment, or the truck when you were driving and moving the hoses and things, and that it's out of alignment and it wears down a tire. And you go in and you say, doggone it, I keep having to replace this one tire. What is the deal? And then somebody says, hey, why don't you check the alignment of the car? Because if the car or truck's out of alignment, it's going to wear one tire down faster than the other. Right now, that tire is your shoulder. It's overuse, but it's not any older than the rest of your body. And so it's not an age thing. It's not the O word. You're not getting older. And that's why that one shoulder is breaking down. It sounds like you're out of alignment. It sounds like you've had repetitive micro trauma. And so the steroids block the pain and inflammation, which is super helpful when you don't want your shoulder to hurt. But the risk with that is, if the pain isn't there, like if we could give you a pill that's FDA approved, it's covered by insurance, you'd never have any side effects, and you'd never feel pain again, everybody on the planet would take it. And then we'd say, crap, we forgot to tell you something, Jack. When you leave today, you're going to step on a nail and it's going to go through your foot. And you're going to get botulinum tetanus, and it's going to be really bad and all this kind of stuff. But don't worry, you're not going to feel any pain, right? And it kind of, it's a joke, but the truth is the pain is a wonderful thing because it's telling you that there's a problem. So question number one, do you want to cover up the pain? And there's no judgment here, but do you want to cover up the pain? Or two, do you want to find a solution so that what's causing the pain doesn't keep happening? And whatever your answer is to that is what we would direct you to do next.
Absolutely.
He sounds like a great candidate for a good evaluation.
Yeah, I have. I've actually they've given me X-rays and stuff, so I've seen the X-rays so I can see where it is bone to bone in there. So I know that that's the case, but I know that it was in pain before they put the Band-Aid on. It's worked marvelously, but I know that it's a matter of time where that thing wears off, and I don't want to keep just pumping stuff in there if it's something that's not something that can regenerate it. But I was wondering about the thing too. I've got HAP insurance, and I don't know if that would cover the stem cell research, because I've heard some, but I don't know about being in Michigan. I know that the guy that had it was a runner and it was down in another state, so I don't know if they have that available here or not.
Yeah, if you leave your information with the producers, we can certainly help you with some of that stuff. That's I'd have to say I don't know on the air, and I don't like saying I don't know on the air. But anyway, we certainly appreciate you calling in, and anybody that says I want to avoid having surgery or I'm looking for a solution, those are exactly the type of people that we'd love to shake hands with and see if we can help. And here's the deal, we can help 100% of the time. It may not be in our office, but if it's not in our office, we can help find somebody that can help you. And so we'd love to say hi. And you're probably closest to the Troy office, I would guess, but Troy and Ann Arbor both. And if you feel like going down by Dayton, Dr. McCoskey's down in Ohio too. And, he'd be able to check you out too. But Jack, thanks for calling. If you leave your information, we'll follow up with some more there. We appreciate you calling in. If you're just tuning in, this is your weekly checkup with Dr. Kramer and Dr. Lazar. We've got our special guest and friend, Dr. Terry McCoskey. Our number is 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355. And we would love to offer a complimentary consultation. That's a $200 value in the Ann Arbor or Troy office. If you have questions, you can ask us on the air. You can leave a message, and we'd love to answer that. If you caught part of this, you can catch the rest of it on yourweeklycheckup.com. And we also are on wherever you get podcasts, you can search for Your Weekly Checkup. So we've got a couple minutes left. Dr. McCoskey, the great people in the Mitten State would love to hear from you how it is that they should know when it's time to have a chiropractor check them versus somebody else, kind of the way they've always been doing it. How would you help them with that?
In my office, you got to have three things for a chiropractic evaluation. You got to be alive, you got to have a spine, and it needs to be out of alignment. And so, but have you ever been to the dentist and not had a cavity? Or have you ever been to the dentist and had plenty of cavities, right? The reality is getting a checkup is always smart. And you do that with somebody who's designed to check body posture and body balance. And so for me, it's like idiot proof. If you want to know how your body's working, you check it, you measure it. If it's good, like when you don't have any cavities, they give you a toothbrush and say, see you in 6 months. But the question is never, is it going to be an issue? The question is, are you going to manage the issue? Imagine waiting until you're a full-blown grown-up to brush your teeth or learn how to floss. So if we start talking about how do we manage health and well-being as a young person and managing body posture when you're slapping on a 40-pound book bag on a 40-pound kid, it's idiot-proof to say who should be checked? Only the people that have spines and only the people who want to know that they're getting well or getting old well. So I don't know, the culture's not there, right? We've done a miserable job as a profession and as far as education goes, I think, and that's not solely our fault. There's been some adverse things that have been revealed over time. But the reality is, if you want to know, you contact somebody who can help you know. You don't have to know everything. You just got to surround yourself with people who do know things that you'd like to know. So for me, that's, I mean, you know, it's not genius level stuff. You just got to plug in and have a desire to do better and live well.
I love that. I love that. Well, you've just been such a pleasure to be on the show tonight, and we're so thankful that you came to hang out with us Michiganders tonight. And you know, our wonderful
Past my bedtime.
You know what? It's past mine, except for on Tuesdays. So we appreciate that so much. And, you know, we are so happy that Jack was able to call in tonight. We were so thankful to have you onto the show tonight and just to connect with our listeners. And this is a highlight to our day today, is to be on here and talk what we call the TIC, and that's the chiropractic philosophy and how your body heals and how it works, and to offer a new solution, potentially a new solution to yourself. So what's unique about our offices too, there's no twisting, cracking, or popping. So it's super gentle, very, very low invasive, but we're really, the biggest thing we have is we have the heart to let you know if we can help you or not. And that's what we do.
100%. And so we just really appreciate you tuning in. We know that your time and energy are so valuable, and we appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Here's how we want you to think about this. Aches and pains are signs that your body is not working right. Your brain, spinal cord, and all your nerves control how your body works. Physical, chemical, or emotional stresses produce a defensive posture. Muscles contract, locking spinal joints that pinch or irritate nearby nerves. Lack of nervous system integrity sets the stage for dis-ease and ill health. A thorough examination helps chiropractors find these subluxations. Applying a precise force to stuck spinal joints helps your body right itself, and health usually returns as repeated visits restore nervous system integrity. That is why chiropractic care has helped millions of people just like you get well and stay well. On behalf of our teams in Ann Arbor and in Troy and in Fairborn, Ohio, and on behalf of our awesome team at WMUZ, thank you to Dr. Terry McCoskey for being on the show. Dr. Kramer and I appreciate it very much. We look forward to hearing from you throughout the week. 866-521-WELL, 866-521-9355 for that complimentary consultation, or yourweeklycheckup.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to being back next week. Dr. McCoskey, thank you again for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
God bless.
Okay, guys, we are all set. Doctors are all sending this out to Kurt tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
Hey, guys, you take care. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And we are so live on the internet.
We are.
That was fun, guys. We are.
There we go. All right. So the after party begins now. Woo!
We are no longer alive, you're telling me?
Right? Is anybody awake?
Can people see us
They can.
They
They
did.
can see us and
on the
hear
web?
us
They can.
Yeah.
on Facebook and YouTube and
Okay.
interwebs
All the
and stuff.
things.
Well, I just tried hard not to pick my nose or anything. I didn't know whether we were. I thought I don't know who could see us. So yeah, I just tried to behave.
You did
Well,
good.
that's boring, but you did a great job. You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey,
guys are doing
anything
good
you want to
things.
say before we sign off to our friends on the interwebs? Anything we want to say to our friends that stuck around and watched us go through
No.
this?
Oh,
Just don't underestimate what you guys are doing.
What's that?
Don't underestimate the power of this. This is good stuff for people that get to tune in, and I love the fact that you archive it. It's valuable resource for people to go back in time and learn new things. So yeah, I'm pleased for you. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. Thanks,
You know,
Terry.
we'll post how to get to livingwellspinecenter.com, or is it Living Well Spine Center? Is that your
Yes.
domain name? Yeah. So we'll post that on the page. I meant to say that on the air, but for anybody on the internet, for sure, Dr. McCoskey and his team are amazing. I've been there. I'm jealous. I love it. I want to be like you when I grow up. And yeah, livingwellspinecenter.com is how our friends in Ohio can find you. They don't want to come to Michigan anyway, so it's all good.
Okay, guys, you have a
Right
great
on.
night.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
Thank you
night.
again.